Go. Hello, everybody.
Hello, we're Cesar and Pam with cesarandpam.com.
And you can grow your business without losing your soul, your family, or your health in the process. Thank you for logging in. If this is your first time, Pam and I have been married for 30 years. We have 6 kids. And 7 years ago, we started a business, a home-based business. And when we started a home-based business, one of the biggest concerns is that we were so busy. We were doing so many things. We were very involved in our church back then and doing a lot of things with all of our kids. And we just felt like we couldn't do one more thing. And then as we enter the industry of network marketing, many of the people that follow us in our Spanish-speaking community, which is where we started, they're in the network marketing, direct selling industry. Now we're starting our channel in English as well. But as we started seeing leaders that were constantly saying, you have to give it all. You have to just sacrifice your life, basically. I ended up seeing that many people lost what was most important to them, that it was a contradiction. What John Maxwell says that you shouldn't do ended up happening to many of them. John Maxwell says, be careful climbing the ladder of success just to find out that when you get to the very top, your ladder is leaning against the wrong wall. And many times we get into our business, we want to grow our business, rank up in the companies because we want to have success and have freedom. But what shall it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? What shall it profit a man to get to the top rank of his company, make all this money, make millions, and lose his family, lose his health, be completely irresponsible with his finances, and most importantly, lose his soul in the process? So there are different dimensions that we share with you week to week, week on week, week on, week off. I don't know how do you say
week to week.
Week to week, thank you. And we talk about, number 1, your relationship with God. Number 2, your personal relationships, your marriage, your parenting. And then number 3, your health, which is what we're going to be talking about today. Number 4, your finances. So you don't become successful by abandoning everything else, by being a good steward of the resources that God has given you. So today we're going to talk about, are you toxic? Are you toxic?
Don't get depressed.
Okay. Well, first we got to get you a little depressed, and then we're going to give you a solution. This is going to be a part number 1. We're going to finish it next week. But, honey, what happens on Friday morning, every Friday at our house?
Every Friday morning, the garbage truck comes by to pick up the garbage. And Thursday night, my boys are supposed to reminded by their father, to take the trash out to the curb. So what happens Friday morning, if they forgot, is I'm usually the one that hears the trash truck coming and goes bolting out the door and trying to get the trash to the curb on time. I've actually gotten to know the driver. He thinks I'm a little crazy, but he's helped me out a couple times.
So what would happen what happens when we forget to take out the trash?
Yeah, well,
sometimes?
That's happened too, where none of us remember, even at the last minute or too late. And then you have last week's trash and this week's trash all building up together. And in the summer, when we're in Texas, where it's over 100 degrees, it can be pretty stinky.
And unfortunately, we live in a country that doesn't really recycle. I mean, we have our recycling bin and a trash bin, but really is not true recycling.
We try.
Honey, but it's not, come on, it doesn't work. If you go to Europe, that's where they really make you recycle, right? Like you have to wash the containers. It's like one container is just for plastic that you can actually recycle. Another one's for glass.
The containers.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that one bin, people don't do that. They throw the egg carton in there with egg stuff still on there. Anyway, my point is, unfortunately, our trash is not a trash that is clean. It's a trash that is just, it's a mess, right? Yeah. We'll talk about that on a different subject. But what would happen if we said, man, we missed out the trash, and you keep forgetting, and you just let's put it in the office, right?
Your office.
A couple of days into it, you'll be like, I ain't going into that office. If you go in there like this, do what you have to do, take your stuff and get out. But after 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I mean, the stench will be terrible. You'll have rats, microbes, bacteria, cockroaches, all kinds of disease. And what if you start saying, okay, just don't go into that room? No, it's not the answer. It will come a time when the whole house will be infected, and the only way to clean it will be to burn it up. That's what happens to our system. if we don't cleanse our system. And you may be toxic to the point of getting sick so often. And maybe that's one of the reasons why. We talked about it during the episode when we talked about what you eat. And this is going to be a little related, but not completely related because there are different elements. One element is the outside environment. When you go outside of your house, there are different reasons why you may be toxic. You come in contact with toxins. Number two, within your same house. And then number three, the food that you eat. And I think we're only going to be able to cover the first one about the air.
So, it reminds me, Cesar, when we went to a chiropractor that described like that we have like a bucket. You can imagine a bucket inside of you that is filling with toxins. And you think you're fine. You think you're fine, but all of a sudden there's a tipping point. And we tend to just look at, well, what was the reason I got sick? And what was that one thing? And he said there's usually not one thing. It's that you reach that tipping point where your body couldn't deal with all the stuff.
Exactly. We've seen that today with the COVID. Many people just blame the one thing, but it's actually a combination of factors. So there are about 80,000 chemicals registered for use in the United States, and we add about 2,000 more every year. These chemicals are used in food, prescription drugs, supplements, household products, personal products, and lawn care products. Wow. From the moment of conception, a child is exposed to a plethora of toxins in his environment. There is a study here from the world into which is born. In a report by the Environmental Working Group, the American Red Cross took umbilical cord blood samples of 10 babies and tested them for contaminants. The tests showed that they had an average of 287 contaminants, including methyl mercury, fire retardants, and pesticides, including DDT and chlorine. We're going to talk about them on the next episode. Of these chemicals, 180 of them are carcinogenic in humans. Wow. And some of the air we breathe is toxic. More than 80,000 metric tons of carcinogens are released into the air annually in North America. But we can clean our inside. I'm going to read it up. Okay, so the air. Also the water. A lot of our water is polluted with more than 2,100 chemicals in most municipal water supplies. However, we can learn to choose clean, pure water. And much of the food supply, as we mentioned, is also contaminated. See, the problem with the food supply, I was listening to an interview by a guy who's a food expert, and he was talking about how when people started businesses in the food industry years ago, they started going into that industry because they have a heart to feed, to nourish, to bring health to the individual and to their families. Today, it has morphed into a situation where the primary driven force is to grow and to succeed, to create profits and not to create health. So you have whole industries. I mean, the food industry is number 2 and number 3 largest in the world. Huge companies that have billions and billions of dollars invested into them to increase those profits, to increase the taste. We talked about it during our live when we talked about health and food, like you're poisoning yourself. Fast food, companies like Coca-Cola having meetings in one of their strategic meetings talking about how can we get more stomach share of our customers. I mean, it's not bringing nutrition and health, but it's how can we get more stomach share, even if it's not nutritious anymore. So to increase the flavor, to enhance the color of it, to extend its life, you have to be careful. You have to learn to read the back of the ingredients of those products to make sure that what's going into your body is not creating a toxic environment. Sorry, honey, it was a very long paragraph.
No, I'm just thinking, with all of those things, there's a lot of things we cannot control. Like just like the baby born and already having been exposed to so many toxins. I think sometimes we just think, oh, there's nothing we can do, and it's just too overwhelming. But I think the encouraging thing is in this book, did you say what book were you saying? The 7 Pillars of Health by Dr. Don Colbert. Anyways, what he says is that there are things that we can do that can really make a change. And I think of that bucket, and we can make the difference between it tipping. You know, our body can deal with a lot of things. It's amazing how God created us. But so I like to be the positive one and share, like, what can we do?
We're gonna give you a few tips.
Practical things. We can start by eating more living foods. I just talked about the industry and processed foods. What we can choose organic foods, living foods. And I know that some people are concerned about I can't buy everything organic, so what do I do? And some good advice is to start with the meats that you buy, because animals are eating things. If it's not organic what they're eating, then they're already toxic from the inside out. Whereas if you buy a vegetable that you can peel, that you can wash, then you're getting fewer toxins from that. So start with your meats, start with your dairy products, and then vegetables. There's even a list, and maybe I can find this and add it later, but there's a list of what vegetables and fruits are the most toxic, the ones that if you're going to buy organic, make sure you buy these organic first, you know, if you can't buy everything organic, and that's really helpful.
You were talking about the supermarket. Where should you shop when you go to the supermarket?
Shop on the outside, not the inside lanes.
Why?
Because that's where the natural, the products you really need are. If you need your produce, you need your meats, you need your we don't even get milk anymore. I've been doing organic almond milk for a while now, and all my kids have gotten used to the taste, and they don't say anything. But that's where you find those foods. But you stay out of the aisles with all the cookies and processed foods. I mean, they're really not the most important. So most of your shopping should be on the outside aisles. That way, you know, sometimes people are like, well, I can't afford it. I'm not going to get the organic fruits because they're more expensive. And I just think in my mind, I'm not going to get, you know, I don't buy those all the time. But it's a treat. And if you get thinking, I'm going to buy my family a treat or my child a treat, I'm going to go get them some cookies. Why not buy some red raspberries that are organic? Why not buy some fruit that you don't normally get? I know that that's something that my kids really enjoy. Wow, you got raspberries, you know? So there are other ways to treat each other.
And I remember one book that we read said, you never found a toddler by himself or herself shopping at the grocery store. Everything that your kids eat, my kids will eat junk only because you got them used to it. So don't buy it. Yeah,
and you know, there's enough opportunities for our kids to eat junk outside of our home. I know, I mean, that's why we don't do 100%, but if you try to control what you're doing at home, then maybe you have 80% control. Because I know that they're going to go and get snack time somewhere. Somebody's going to give them candy. It happens all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, we're just talking about the ability of your body to heal itself. It's unbelievable. We're not saying you're going to have to live a perfect life, only eating perfectly. No, we
give your body a chance. Right?
Exactly.
You already got all these other things against you, all these chemicals in the air and in food. So make wise choices, and choosing organic foods as much as you can is a great choice.
So this is one of our boys right here, Jaden. Can we between us real quick? He's 13 years old, and Jaden fell off your bike, right, Jaden? How many weeks ago? Like 3 weeks ago or something like that. He scraped himself really bad on the elbow. I mean, I thought, like, is that the bone or what? Really bad on his knee too. And can you show us your elbow? I mean, it's incredible how
new skin,
how the body just healed itself. Obviously, in a good environment. Now show us your knee. I mean, it's just amazing. Does it hurt? No, right? It's just amazing. Thank you, Jenny. It's amazing how your body can heal itself. How God made each cell to be able to reproduce itself and just give life.
Yeah, we've talked about water, you know, drinking lots of good, pure water. That's the next thing that you can do, because you are going to get toxins in your body, but the more water that you drink, the better. I mean, you should be drinking at least half of your body weight in ounces of water.
And we talked about just this one subject and another one. If you go to our YouTube channel under playlists, there's one called Health, and you can find, if you're going to learn more about specifically water.
Yeah, so choose filtered water over tap water.
Yeah. Number 3, breathe clean air. What about that? Tell us about it.
Yeah, we talked about this in another show too, that they did studies, and just taking a walk in a forest or a wooded area, how much that made a difference for, like, I forget how many days later, there were still benefits from breathing the air there. So try to get away. I mean, maybe you live in a busy city, but you can go on the weekends or in the evening, you can drive a little ways and get out into nature and breathe fresh air.
Yeah. Then we have,
Oh, and this one too, you know, if you like to run or walk even, choose places where there's not a lot of cars and not a lot of smog.
Yeah.
I see people sometimes running on busy streets, and I'm like, I don't think that's very
good.
beneficial.
Yeah. Okay, what about products? Wear rubber gloves if you use chemicals for cleaning. Better yet, check for natural cleaning alternatives in natural personal care products.
Yeah, I think right now, especially with the pandemic, I mean, people have been disinfecting like to no end, and everything's bleached. And sometimes I go into stores, and because of all the chemicals that they're using, I start sneezing, and I'm like, I can smell it, I can feel it, and I feel like I can't breathe, you know, and it's not good. So you don't need to use bleach to get something clean. If you feel like you have to use gloves, because it can be absorbed through your skin. People think, oh, that's the other thing, right? If I put it on my skin, it's staying outside of my body. No, it goes through your skin into your bloodstream. That's why patches, you know, transdermal medications work, because they put on that little patch and it absorbs into your bloodstream. So your skin is the largest organ in your body. It does make a difference what we're using, what kind of soaps, shampoos, our makeup, lotions, all those things are choices we can make. Deodorants, you know, one of the worst chemicals is the aluminum in antiperspirants. And it's hard to make the change, but there are so many now, because I mean, it's obviously a problem finding aluminum. Our body can't deal with aluminum. They say we store it in our brain cells, right? So definitely there are changes we can make. And when it comes to cleaning products, don't need expensive cleaning products. You don't need a ton of perfumes. Like, some people just buy certain things because they like the smell. And when your whole house smells like it, or your clothes, you wash them. I mean, honestly, I've washed something that one of my kids brought home, a shirt from somebody else. And I washed it and it still smelled like the detergent or the fabric softener that the mom used. It doesn't even wash out. And those are toxins too. So natural cleaners like vinegar, using things with essential oils, doesn't have to be more expensive. And just because it's a chemical doesn't mean it's getting it cleaner. There are natural ways to clean. Just Google it. You can find shampoos and things you can make, you know, if you're worried about the price. But the price that we're paying, I think, by putting all these toxins on our body, thinking they're just staying on our body, that's not true. It's going into your bloodstream. Yeah.
And the last recommendation, it's directly related to that. Get yourself off of as much medication as possible. This will give your liver a break and will allow your body to rid itself of built up toxins. We live in a society that is addicted to medication, right? I mean, everybody's taking some sort of things. And sometimes the medication to take away symptoms, I didn't finish the thought, they take a lot of things to just take away a symptom and not deal with a root problem. And many times the problem that the medication causes, it's even worse or contributes greatly to the problem itself, because your gut, your digestive system is where a lot of your intestinal flora, your immune system resides. So when you take so much medication, you're just destroying that natural flora
Yeah, I'm always amazed. We don't watch much television, but I forget what was it, a football game or something that was on TV, and then the commercials for these drugs come on, and it's like showing this perfect, you know, healthy looking person outdoors having a great time, and saying you need to take this drug if you have this problem so that your life can be changed. But then the last, like, as long as that commercial was, it seems like the second half is all the side effects. And you just sit there and think, we are just, what are we thinking if we would put that in? But
Yeah.
I guess because, I don't know, I don't watch it all the time, but I guess you just hear it all the time and you just tune it out or something. But I'm like thinking, I would be so afraid to take that medicine when you hear the list of 1,000 side effects. So, I mean, we just have to be aware that that's not good.
We talked about it on another show in depth about those medications. Immediately, we live in a culture that take away the pain, take away the immediate symptom, and maybe your body's starting to tell you something, right? Like the one we're watching about not being able to sleep. These are some sleeping pills, and it can also
cause insomnia,
depression, cause insomnia. I'm like, what? So trying to sleep, and one of the side effects is you may not be able to sleep,
yeah.
but put it in your body somehow, it'll help. So consider that with your doctor.
Yeah, talk to your doctor and really think about looking for a doctor that's into more natural medicine.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot, you
Yes.
know, that there are alternatives.
If you're in the Dallas area, send us a message and we'll give you some tips. All right, now let's finish up with, we're not going to be able to get into, we're going to talk about air pollution, the environment, and then we're going to talk about outside of your home, then inside of your home in a little more depth, and then food and medication. Let's just talk about air pollution really quick. In rural America, pesticides, dust, and ozone contribute to the problem. Carbon monoxide from buses, cars, and airplanes, heavy metals and chemicals from factories and refineries, and smoke from agricultural fires and forest fires all contribute to the gaseous soup we breathe, says the author. Smog may also harm your arteries. A study from the University of Southern California's Keck School of Medicine showed that as levels of pollution rose, so did the thickness of plaque in the carotid arteries of the study participants. Carotid?
It might be carotid.
Okay. All right. So just be very aware, even in commute, where you're driving in your commute, those are toxins that you're inhaling as you commute there and back. And for people in rural areas, pesticide exposure is difficult to avoid. The most commonly used pesticides are easily absorbed into the skin, we talked about that, and breathed into the lungs. Farmers who work with these chemicals are at greater risk to develop brain cancers, prostate cancer, leukemia, and lymphoma. So on the next episode, we're gonna go into those three areas, and then we're gonna give you more specific solutions.
Yeah.
But
let us know what questions you have. How does this sound to you? We'd love to hear your comments.
Yeah, I know that this has been a journey for the last 30 years of our lives, trying to figure out how to live healthy.
And sometimes, I mean, honestly, you know, rereading that chapter again before we did this discussion, I think, man, there's just areas it's so easy to slip into just what everybody else is doing or the easiest thing to buy and not think through. And there are changes. We can all make some changes.
Yes. So like the video, if you're watching the recording, if you did like it, share it with somebody you know needs to listen to it. Subscribe to our channel, Cesar and Pam in English, Cesar y Pamela en Español. And we want to help you how to grow your business, your career, your profession without having to lose your soul, your family, or your health in the process. We are
Cesar and Pam with cesarandpam.com.
See you on the next one.